Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is a show where we talk about the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Today's episode is going to be a little bit more free-flowing episode. We're going to talk about various things all over the place. But what we're also going to talk about is some of the rules changes or powers changes that are thrown out there by the whiz kids, and some of the I would more along the line say impacts of such changes. So let's sort of get into it. Now, the first thing I want to bring up is I'm really glad that they decided not to have these rules go into effect before Origins. Now, the main reason I say that is all of a sudden you're looking at trying to like completely remaster the game in such a short period of time that I don't think most players would be able to hang with that. It doesn't matter if you are the world champion or if you're a new player, just like I have a dream to one day to be the very best at heroclix like no one ever was. Either way, to relearn all these rules and stuff, I think would just be insanely hard. Now, I mean, in such a short period of time before the World Championships. So, kudos to WizKids for not being, completely on that crack pipe. We can say that. But at the other end, when we start realizing that they said, hey man, here's some stuff that we were thinking about, and, we want your feedback. I'm going to call BS on that. Because I don't think they want our feedback. Because if it's been going on for this long, they're not going to wait for player feedback to change anything. Okay? You have to look at it from a production standpoint. And you look at it from a marketing and PR standpoint. From a production standpoint, they got to send their stuff over to China. Okay? And once it's over in China, they have an X amount of window for production time. And one of my co-workers and friends I play with, Jake, he points out, like, look, they usually just release a pack in a rule book in a starter. So you're also looking at a main set, which would have a pack and would also indicate the need for a starter, not just the fast forces. So right there, you automatically have some problems. Because, you're not getting a starter with Deadpool, and then what's your next major set that you're getting? So you're waiting a little bit for these rules. So I assume that the upcoming Thor set, they're going to have all that done. If it's for the upcoming Thor set, guess what? Production's already done. Production's already done. It's either in process now, or it's going to be being produced here real soon. And the fact that we just didn't see it all in one giant size, Luther Burger bite with all this glazy donut goodness, just lets us know that they don't care. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless. Okay? And for people who don't know what a Luther Burger is, look it up. It's great. And if not, watch the Boondocks episode with the Luther Burger and what it can do to a community. and so with that, I really do think that overall, I'm not going to say WizKids thinks we're stupid, but they sort of want to make you feel like you're in control when you have no control whatsoever in this situation. They're like, we want your feedback, guys. Please give it to us. We're listening. And the only time that they'll really listen is if you blow up their social media en masse and just saying this stuff is completely horrible and we don't want it. And even then, they'll still just do what they want to do, a la, dials on the back of the car. Okay. Now, the stupid thing to me is that you're going to announce the changes to the rules, but then you're going to have an event series called Sidekick Night. And my $1,000,000 question that sits over my head is, why are you having people that play the game try to do the Sidekick Night when they're relearning the game themselves? Okay, and to me that is a huge problem because you're having players that are making gameplay mistakes on a ridiculous level, and they don't know what the heck they're doing themselves. Okay, so I don't think that this was a good idea. I understand the intent, I understand where they were going, but I don't think this is a good idea. So that's the first basic thing that I realized is just, welcome to the suck and problems. But when we start to jump into their little articles that they sort of thrown out, you look at the rules language article first, and I'm going into it now. They're simplifying things. Now, I'm not disagreeing with the simplifying things, and we've argued for a long time in the meta community to WizKids. I mean, since I was going to Worlds all the way back to the Gen Con days, that WizKids needs a lexicon, and it needs a simple rule phrase that it's just this is how it is. There's no ends, ifs, or buts. This is how it is. The problem comes in is that WizKids does not give a Flying J truck stop, about consistency. And so that's a problem. But this is a good, move in the right direction until they decide to say, forget, what if we just had a guy that just made attacks? Not a close attack, not a range attack, just attacks. And then, with attacks, he's able to just draw a line of fire to whoever he could draw a line of fire to, he just attacks. That would be great, guys. And, and if that's one of those figures that doesn't go through playtesting, then, yeah. There you go. You have a good guess of what would happen. Okay, so let's sort of go through. And again, they say at the beginning, reminder: these rules are not finalized yet and will not replace the current rules until after the 2017 World Championship at Origins Game Fair. Email gamefeedback@wizkids.com with feedback on this topic. We will try and read. It's just we will try and read everything. That doesn't make sense. Everything on the topic, but can only respond via articles we write addressing shared concerns. So again, they can curate what they believe are shared concerns, and then just be like, look, homie, we put this article out. Take it or leave it. But again, it's WizKids. It's WizKids. All right, so they start off and be like close, range, power, and free. Now, why is all these things, there? Because they put the freaking dials on the back of the card and ate up all their real estate for a card. So unless they want they want a significantly double cost, and for some characters they just are going to have to, like Devil Dinosaur. Unless they're going to double their cost, they're not going to introduce a 4-sided card or a double card. Okay, so they're not, because if they do that for every character, the cost would go up exponentially. You're functionally just doubling your cost on paper, and that might seem trivial when we look at the actual cost. But for WizKids, it's just oh my gosh, I'm giving you a quarter now and paying out 50 cents later. We need to raise the cost of boosters by $2. because you got to keep your profit margins, astronomical, because capitalism. And don't take that as I'm anti-capitalism either. I'm just anti-stupid capitalism, excessive capitalism. But anyway, so they have these like close range, power, free. These abbreviations will only be used for actions, and then that can actually be given to the character. And so they're trying to like make it so that even the pack is more condensed. So like they could probably fit the entire pack on like one card instead of it being a open card or something like that, or two-sided card. Sorry, four-sided card. Or actually, I think it's more than that. It's like a six-sided card. So they're probably just trying to knock it all down to like a two-sided card or something. So anyway, it's like flurry. And then it's like gives close, makes up to 2 close attacks. And then it's like, okay, so you simplify flurry. Yay, okay, great. Charge, can't be knocked back. Power, half speed, move, then close at no cost. And so you could tell they're getting rid of the concept of free action. you see what I'm saying? Okay, so it's interesting. Now here's the thing. I don't know if this phasing teleport thing is legit or not. If it is, I'm actually interested in phasing teleport, and actually becomes like the most brokest thing ever. It says phasing teleport when character name uses it to move 5 squares or less after resolutions, he can make a ranged attack. And so I actually like that. Boss says that phasing teleport stealth, comma stealth. Like I don't even know why they're doing these in like not even proper English. Like it's going to turn into freaking emoji hieroglyphics here in a couple of years. Like stealth, symbol of ninja with little thief with the bag, black color. Like that's going to be your emoji for stealth. It's like phasing teleport, yellow particles and stuff, and then super strength, a muscle arm in green, willpower, like just like probably muscle arm in purple. That's probably what's going to be. Enhancement, wrench in green, empower, fist in pink. Oh gosh, and I'm laughing at it now, but who knows? WizKids might actually rip this idea off, and then I could probably sue them. No, I'm just kidding. They wouldn't rip it off because they don't listen to the show. Anyway, so you can see that they're trying to make really bad 5-year-old grammar sentences put together to try to describe like an attack of some sort or some sort of action, and it's realistically not that good. They should have just stuck with an example of what the power wording is going to be, instead of giving me potentially what I believe phasing teleport won't be. But if it does, phasing teleport is probably by far the best new move and attack power ever. Unless they take away the auto breakaway, which would, to me, defeat the whole purpose of phasing teleport. Like, if they make it like hypersonic speed, if you're going to do an attack, then yeah, but that to me would make it more complicated and defeat the complete purpose of making all this more simplified. But, who am I? Just some, guy on the internet. Alright, so let's sort of take it to the next article. They try to say, like, hey man, like, look, it's not all that bad, guy. It's not all that bad. So when you go to the rules article 2 and keywords, I didn't go into episode 0, goals and crap, because that article really wasn't that useful in my opinion. Okay, so they go in and they start off with how keywords already are, and I don't see anything to like really argue about with that. Then you have theme teams are forces of heroclix characters that have experience working together or common fighting style and have extra synergy. When being a mystical is a fighting style, just let me know. Same as being a scientist. You know, like what scientist is, you know, it's like, I liked MMA and I liked, electron physics. So when I combined the two, I was Shock Punch Man. I'm Shock Punch Man. Then this is going to probably turn to a comic that sells like $1 bazillion right there. Shock Punch Man, scientist by day, puncher by night. Yeah. So they're breaking down the theme team things, which we don't really need to cover, and nothing's really changed. So you can't really I complained about nothing. Then they talk about theme team prob and the changes to theme team prob. That you must have the chosen keyword, must target a character other than itself. Now this is a change. This is a huge effect. Okay. Because now you can't theme team prob blades. Or well, you couldn't theme team prob. You couldn't theme team prob any of it. Well, actually, come think of it, you couldn't even use it. Well, no, you could. You could think if you had like a free action regen, you could target yourself. But now you couldn't do that anymore. So there really is not that big of a change. It's just an outlier that no longer can use it. So that's fair. That's fair. Okay. Then you must have 0 or 1 action tokens immediately after a resolution is given an action token. Okay. So overall, it's sort of the same. I do like the fact that they do have on this little sidebar, and they could have just said straight up, like, this seems like it was taken out of something that they had in a meeting, and they were typing in like the team, Google Docs and stuff. And they just said, screw it. We don't have time to actually make something. Let's just dump this on the internet. So it says, sidebar, note that a character that has already used probability control normally or not can't also use it again in the same turn because of inherent once per turn restrictions. Again, you have to, like, that stuff for your rule book. It's an old rule. It's, you don't need to point that out because most of the people that are reading this already know that or are pretty much aware of that. George Masu, you have proven that you could break the game way back in the day. So, yeah. All right, so then they say, so you simply get to use one, theme team prob for each character on your force with that keyword with a maximum of 5 per game. And then they were like, hey, there were changes, reasons why we were doing this, and they were trying to say, we want you to reward characters with diverse builds, and that, I understand that. You can have more characters, and with them putting out a bunch of lower characters, and I talked about this with a couple of people over the last week. WizKids, they go on these bipolar moments, and they're like, the game is about small little guys forming a whole team. So you have 8 guys in your 300-point team, and they're awesome. That's what heroclix is going to. That's the future, man. And then the next set they'll come in, it's like, heroclix is about you building a team of 4 people with way more damage and like way more support power. And, they go and they're able to fight and win. That's what heroclix is about, man. Then the next set they'll go back is like, heroclix is about having 6 to 8 characters on your team, and they all work together using some weird, funky trait, and then you play your friends and you reenact comic book scenarios from the past. That's what heroclix is about, man. And they just don't know what the heck they're doing with the game. They really don't, cohesively. They don't know what the heck they're doing with the game. And then they're going to be like, hey, man, we got to make products. and we spice it up, and then we got to keep it interesting, and blah 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 blah. And then my problem is that the overall block of the product, and I mean like your year of until rotation block, is inconsistent, and you end up with these like choppy patches in the game. And trust me, this has happened with Classic Whiz Kids, Tops Whiz Kids, and now freaking Balloon Party Whiz Kids. Okay, every iteration of Whiz Kids has never blocked out 3 years of time in a chunk. And the reason I say 3 years of time, here's my set. We're introducing new stuff. Then we have the second set that's going to follow up and buff the first set of stuff, okay, that happened in year 1. And then and with all this year 2 stuff, we're going to transition slightly into something different, okay, and making sure on year 2, if we see any distinct problems, that we make like a corporate note. These are design flaws that we are never ever to repeat. And then shift into like our new ideas into the next year, and then having that work so that year 2 works with year 3, and now you have a better yacht product than you have in year 1. They don't get that. They're just like team bases, big vehicles, colossal retaliation, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, summon guys through me. Colossal exclusives that are only available through the major events. Oh, and they're also broken as all get out because you roll a D20 and you're able to summon Cthulhu and auto win. Oh, did I forget about Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Oh, and then on our last iteration, we're going to introduce a Planeswalker into that sucker. Tell me it's balanced. And I know you're going to be like, Dark Logo's fully on that cynicism trip. Did he have a big old gallon of haterade before, he started the show? And it's just like, maybe a little bit. I maybe had a glass or two of haterade. Yeah, I'll just be honest. I did. I had a little glass of haterade. But it's in me, and I'm bleeding that like blue crap out of me. So right now, I look completely like a mix between a Royals fan and one of those monsters you see under the sea. Okay, so they're trying to make it so, and I'm really hoping that they clean this up when I talk about the theme team props here. Is that I'm hoping they make it that each character is able to do a maximum of 5 props per game. And now if it's force wide, yeah, that's going to blow. That's going to blow. Now here's why I'm saying this, and here's where they're saying their goals of these additional changes, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. So point 1, reward teams for having diverse builds with multiple characters. A very common heroclix build is 1 high point character plus 1 or 2 low point support characters. With the current rule, max 3 uses in 300 point games, that may be rewarded the same as a 5 or 6 character team. Players told us they wanted theme team synergy to additionally reward more diverse builds. The amount of theme team prob a one-man army gets won't change, but there will be additional incentives to try something a little broader. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm hoping that from that point, that means like each character can do 5 props. So having 4 characters gives you more props than having 3 characters. Okay. So then it says, don't allow high point games to have unmanageable amounts of theme team props. With the goal in mind, for 1,000 point games, we don't want players to have to remember if they used it 7 or 8 times already. Those games tend to be longer, and players can easily lose track. While we rarely run tournaments over 300, we know many of you do, so we wanted to make sure the theme team prop could be tracked on a single D6. Okay, so never mind. I guess they're just trying to make it so theme team prop is a max of 5. But again, they really need to like clean that up. And it says up to X times. X times equals the number of characters on your force with the chosen keyword. Okay, maximum of 5. So never mind. Take back all that I said previously. So they want to try to make it so that you get up to a maximum of 5 theme props, which that's sort of crap because it does not equal utility. Because if I pack 2 props on my team and it's a 500-point game, I'm automatically am going to get more props in than you are going to be able to theme team prop. So they really need to just look at theme team and what the purpose of theme team is and offer theme team options. Option 1, for making a ranged combat attack, roll a d6 at the beginning of your turn. On a 4 through 6, you get +1 attack if you're adjacent to a friendly character with this keyword. Like, just something simple like that would be a lot more useful than theme prop. You know, it's like, oh, I take a token and I have up to 5, you know. And even if you want to keep it in line, it says like up to 5, you know, you can use this power up to 5 times per turn. If you get this, bam, you know, that's it, you know. You get to do this 5 times. It would be a lot easier. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. Leadership. And in the comments, people, like if you had put the comment in, it's like, hey, Dark Logos, that's not what the article says. Just go back and be like, yo, man, my bad. Didn't finish listening to the cast. Okay. So leadership. Unique modifier, action total +1. At the beginning of your turn, you may roll a d6. On a 5 or 6, remove an action token from an adjacent friendly character that's less points or shares a keyword. Now, having leadership automatically giving you a +1 action to your pool, that's great. Capping that at +1, not so much a fan, because that means like doubling down on leadership could be a problem. Now, here's the coolness. Low point leaderships are now all of a sudden really, 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 really powerful. Like stupid level powerful. Like, what was that feat? Warbound powerful. So, what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to go for Modern Age. I'm going to look at less than 50 points. And then I'm just going to look for leadership on first click. And I'm going to show you something. Alright, here we go. We got Leonardo from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Return. He has leadership. He's 50 points. He could take an action token off if he rolls a 5 or a 6 from an adjacent animal, martial artist, TMNT, and TMNT ally. He has Sidestep and Blaze Claw's Fangs, which means whatever. Okay, we have pretty much all Leonardos have all the same keywords, so you don't need to go more than that. Splinter, 40 points. You know, he's taking off an animal martial artist and TMNT ally, which, truthfully, he should just be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I mean, I know he's not a turtle, but they should have just said TMNT. That's what they should have just did. Instead of TMNT ally. No, they should have just been TMNT. There you go. Okay, Cyclops from the Uncanny X-Men Fast Forces is 50 points. It can take tokens off of past characters and all new X-Men. Shield Section Chief is 45 points. And can take tokens off of anybody with the shield or soldier keyword. Let's look at somebody that's really actually interesting. Amanda Waller's 25 points. And can take tokens off of politicians and Suicide Squad members. Diana Prince can take tokens off of Amazon, Politician, and Warrior, which is, not bad for 40 points. Gold, my man. Gold is now like one of your top tier guys because he has a 10 attack, 3 damage, running shot, toughness, and he takes tokens off of Metal Men and robots. So I know Krang probably won't benefit from it, but Gold taking tokens off Krang, yeah, that's going to be awesome. And of course, we have Kingdom Come Superman, who could just take tokens off of Future Justice League, Justice Society, Kryptonian, and Metropolis. But I'll take that back real quick because I forgot it glitches out on you for AC rounds for the low dial. So forget the KC Superman. So right there, you can start seeing like low point leadership. There isn't a lot of it right now in the meta. And I only pointed out the ones I thought were good. You still have like Hydra Section Chief, Wasp, you know. So those are in the mix too. So now the game gives a really good incentive for you to run characters with leadership, because you can start taking tokens off of other people that share your keyword, and it doesn't matter the point value. So now all of a sudden, for all your legion of superhero fans, you're able to play Mon-El and Superboy together and have the ability to take tokens off of Mon-El. Like, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal for the people that have the Trinity War Superman. You're taking tokens off of 9 times out of 10, smaller characters. But let's say you go into a 1,000-point game and you run the Justice League team base. Now you just take tokens off the Justice League team base. So overall, I like this change. It fixes a lot of the problems that people had with leadership. Is that you have, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they're all the same point cost. And what's the purpose of leadership? Like, add an action token, add one action to your action pool. Whip-de-deeky-doo, I need to take a token off of Michelangelo so that he can whop your dudes in the head again so that I can put a action token on him. Okay? The other thing that I think that this really does as well that I find interesting is that even though it takes away the additional action advantage from multiple leaderships, it doesn't take away the advantage of removing multiple tokens. So having multiple leaderships is still really good. Still really good. It's just you're not getting an action advantage, but you are, to another degree, getting an action advantage, because you're able to make characters have willpower that didn't have willpower before, or characters act like a colossal even though they don't have colossal symbol. So that to me is a really, really good thing. Then you have Mastermind change. When this character would be hit by an opponent's attack that dealt damage, you may choose an adjacent friendly character that wouldn't be hit by this attack, and that is less points or shares a keyword. Now this is huge. The friendly character becomes the hit target of the attack instead, even if it's already a target or would be an illegal target. Now, here's why I say this is huge. All of a sudden, if you share a keyword with a character and you have Mastermind, you can Mastermind to a higher point character. And that is a big deal. Okay? Not only can you Mastermind to a higher point character, you have to be a lot more particular facing people with Energy Explosion. Because now, Energy Explosion has a distinct advantage, because you can't just be like, yeah, we have 3 guys with Mastermind and 1 Pog. Like three characters, 1 Pog. Oh gosh, that's so bad. Three characters, 1 Pog. And now we're all going to dump not only just the attack damage, but the Energy Explosion damage all onto that 1 Pog, and we're safe. Well, I'll say 3 Pogs, so you can't do it to 1 Pog. And now you're, the guy doing the attack is like, oh shucks, I couldn't get that off, and I needed that to win the game. All of a sudden I sound like a caricature of Al Capone. So, anyway, so now you're dealing with a little bit more complicated situation, where the Masterminder has a new advantage but a new disadvantage. So Energy Explosion all of a sudden just eats up all the Masterminders, legit Mastermind targets. So Energy Explosion becomes the new anti-Mastermind power. You just stack that with Precision Strike. But at the same time, when we start looking at older figures that paid additional points with their mastermind to target higher point figures, those characters are just permanently like overcosted until the rules change again. And I really do mean it. They're permanently overcosted because they had to have something in there that allowed them to target characters that are higher point value. Now, at the same time, now people that have Mastermind that's able to target multiple characters, that are not adjacent, those suckers are broke strong. Go find them and play them once these rules come out. So, overall, I really like this. Now, you also sort of notice they have this little thing at the end that friendly characters that becomes the hit target of the attack instead, even if it's already a target or would be an illegal target. Okay, so what's interesting is they're sort of doing it like Bizarro Green Arrow, trying to make his wording more consistent or more normative. And I like that and I don't like that, because functionally what you are saying, what Bizarro Green Arrow is like, hey man, you have Mastermind if you're adjacent to me that can't be ignored or countered. To ranged attacks. And they could have just reworded his power to be something like that. But whatever. But I like it. Now, when we start looking at leadership and Mastermind, you can see that they were, in the article, that they were trying to make it clear that they wanted all this to be done with attacks. So poison won't work, which I am really happy about, that you can't you can't mastermind poison damage. I think that that's a huge deal. And I know some people would say as well, Dark Logos, wouldn't that make Mastermind, super duper strong now? Because now you can't mastermind the damage? Like it's no stronger than it was before. You're still going to deal with your Ant-Man Pogs and all that jazz. And truthfully, you're not going to deal with your Ant-Man Pogs for much longer. They're going to get retired here soon. So those are on their way out. So all those people is like, Ant-Man Pogs, the bane of my existence. Trust me, homie, freedom is a-coming. Check out the new episode of Underground and empathize with it. Harriet Tubman is coming for you. But for the rest of us that are on the plantation and aren't leaving anytime soon, the Mastermind change to poison creates a situation where it does encourage melee encounters. Okay? It encourages melee encounters, which I think is what they're trying to do with the game. They're trying to say, hey, you can do range, but we don't want the game to only be range. Hey, you can use some other powers, but we don't want it all just to be Pogs. I think that that's a huge deal as well. So that's one thing that just comes up into my mind immediately. The next thing, excuse me. The next thing that I look at from this article overall is that they're really trying hard, to justify like why they didn't want to have multiple leaderships, and so they, I'm just trying to say it like this. They are pushing hard to sell us on the concept of why everything is going down the way it is. Okay? And I do mean hard. And when I look at the leadership in particular, when they say, for leadership we want to move the action total outside of the role and makes leadership specials often unclear. Players also express that it could get too swingy with multiple leaderships, characters, and large teams. If they all succeed, then you could be doubling your action total. And if not, your large team may have a hard time functioning. We have a new key phrase, action total plus X. That increases your action total. When we change the rules of the existing key phrase unique modifier so that it works with the phrase as well as combat values. Work with this phrase as well as combat values. So you can only add one action to your action total via leadership, no matter if it's a standard or special leadership power, or how many characters have it. But now you can actually build a force focused around getting an extra action every turn from leadership. And I don't, and it's stuff like that that makes me think, like, do you understand what the majority of us are going to be using this stuff for now? Like, do you not understand that we are going to be looking at leadership the same way that we look at low cost, perplex, and prob? Like, we're just going to be like, I'm running these attackers here, and I have this character here, and now, you know, the support character has leadership and perplex, or leadership and outwit, or leadership and prob. Like, all those type of characters all of a sudden become stupid. And I'm sitting here looking at Ace the Bat Hound, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, Ace the Bat Hound and Captain America all of a sudden become way more dumber than what they should be. Because, and I'll just put it like this. Let's go look at Captain America. And Ace the Bat Hound is just the fact that he can go ahead and pick leadership. And now he's taken a token off of the freaking mech suit, you know, Kingdom Come Batman. Like, really think that through. And if you're an animal, he's taking a token off of you if you're an animal. And so, I mean, like, you know, it goes on and on. But let's look at Captain America. Okay, the leader we need. Captain America can use leadership, and it can't be re-rolled. Alright, that's fine. When he succeeds, instead, remove an action token from up to 150 points of other friendly characters, regardless of adjacency or point value. Okay? So, here's the thing that I wanna ask, you know, whiz kids. Alright? If I have Captain America, can I choose not to use the second part and just take a token off of, you know, like 200 point War Machine because they share the shield keyword? Because I have leadership, I'm using leadership. Now, if they're like, yeah, I can use leadership and I can take the token off of War Machine, but I can't do the rest of that, I'm fine. But that, and again, I'm finding it a little bit frustrating. You know, I'm not saying, like, you know, Captain America sucks now. He's going to suck because he can't take tokens off of Theme Team Pirated Galactus. You know, gosh, I'll touch on that in a moment. But now you're looking at a character that's able to take tokens off of multiples. So you have him as like an outlier, where you have him taking tokens off of your swarmy guys, and then you have somebody else taking tokens off of your big guys. The other problem that I think that we're looking at as well is the fact that keywords can be granted through outside effects. WizKids doesn't care about Golden Age. They can say, like, we got your money. It's your problem now. But we start looking at, like, Pirate Bob Deadpool, or Pool Captain, or whoever the hell he is. I forgot which one it is. That grants everybody on the team pirate keyword. Now you start combining that with leadership, and now I can take my 25 point Amanda Waller, team her up with my 2,000 point Galactus, have my Pirate Deadpool there, and, you know, the rest of the Renegade squad, and just be like, yeah, Amanda Waller takes tokens off of, you know, Galactus, because reasons. because reasons. Like that just makes sense. Oh, and she's not unique, so I can have like 3 of them. Yeah, I only get +1 action. That's fine. That's fine. But if I spent 100 points to have one chance and get one chance to take a token off Galactus, I have 4 chances per turn to take a token off Galactus. Don't you think I'm going to do that? Let's not even say I invested 100 points. Let's just say I invested 50 points. So I have 2 chances per turn to take a token off Galactus. Alright, so if I look at it, turn 1, I attack. Okay, no leadership is going to go off. Turn 2, roll leadership. Did I get it off of my 2? No. Okay, whatever. Galactus is power cosmic. Put my token on. Alright, turn 3. Roll leadership. If I got that on that 3rd turn, I can just be like, bloop, take a token off, attack. Alright. So when you start looking at leadership, the problem with leadership going forward is this. They're going to have to errata this already and make it say printed on the card. Because if they don't, when you start playing Golden Age games in particular, and you start talking about the lanterns, and you start talking about the entities, you don't want to go there. You don't want to go there. Because if they produce any other like major mega leadership things like, oh, I have leadership, and when I do leadership you get +1 attack, +1 damage, +1 range. And I take tokens off of you. You know, that guy now becomes the new hotness, and then like, oh, okay, boom, we found this way to make him a pirate. Yay. So now Pirate Deadpool is, 13 attack, 8 damage. I don't even think that's possible, but, whatever. So, I was going to say it's semantics. It's not semantics, that's the word. Semantics. Yay. That's what we get. So, overall, like the development of these 2 powers changes, positives, negatives. I could say overall there's more positives than negatives, but I can see how they're like, man, we don't want some of that gamey nature just getting in and ruining our good game. I see that just getting crapped on. I see that getting crapped on so hard. So that's my opinion on this. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of positive reaction from some of the changes that they announced. I think there's going to be some pushback because they're making it clear. They're making it 100% clear. Like, this is the beginning. This is not the end. This is not like, oh, this is one of 3 powers that we're fixing going forward. They're making it pretty comprehensive. And that's where I'm sort of concerned about. Because if they couldn't put everything in one article and they sort of have to baby step us through this and at the same time give us justifications and like massage our paranoia that this is, no, it's not a new game. It's not a new game. It's your same game you've been playing. It's not a new game. It's not a new game. It's not a new game. And my understanding of how media works and how propaganda works is the more that they yell peace and safety, the less peace and safety there actually is. That's my main takeaway I'm going to have from this is the more they yell peace and safety, the less peace and safety there is. So they're like, hey, your game isn't changing that much. Your game isn't changing that much. Wait. Here's our justification. We're talking to you like an adult. You're an adult. It's like, no, you're not an adult. You're going to sit here and take it, and give us your money. That's the way I'm looking at it. Is what the background narrative is. Now, WizKids will never come out and say like, yeah, that's really what the background narrative is.
But that's how I'm really interpreting what they're doing. Now, if they really, in my opinion, if they really did want us to give feedback and give insight, they would have done some of the following. The first thing that they would have done is said, hey, a year from now to a year and a half from now, we're going to come out with some major changes. Here's some things that we're on the fence about. Okay, here are 15 elements that we're on the fence about. And because we have our own dang website, and we're not dependent on Realms, we can poll and keep it all private and all the data to ourselves. And you could say, like, do you like, dislike, or an indifferent to this change? And if you just look at, like, your like and dislike ratio on some things are just stupid high, then you know what to keep and what to, like, go back to the drawing board on. The problem is just like when they introduced split and merge. They introduced split and merge with like 6 other, like with a bunch of other like little things at the time when it came out. And I just said from the beginning on the rules forum, like, this is a problem. This is dumb. And they're like, why is this dumb? Like, because according to your rules, the one that initiates the merge is where the click number is at. So pretty much I can have low point Tony Stark in the background as my support character and have stupid high point cost War Machine running around killing stuff. He gets really, really hurt. Then I bring him back and then I merge him with Tony Stark into Iron Man, Iron Patriot, or Iron Man War Machine. Either of those two. And now all of a sudden I have a fresh 250 point or 300 point piece that's just going to murder the entire field and end the game for me. I functionally could have healed 8 clicks for absolutely 0 effort. No die roll, no nothing. And then they're like, blah, 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 bad idea, you're just being cynical, Edward, blah, 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 blah. Then you had the Dormammu at the time where you would make somebody like low point, your servant or whatever, and they would get +1 stats or something like that. And then I came up and I'm like, look, I have, what was it? Avengers Prime. I have Dormammu. I have freaking Galactus. This is like a 3,000 freaking point game. All of a sudden, I can take, what you're telling me is I can make Dormammu, have Tony Stark be my servant, then make Thor the Herald of Galactus, and then I have Captain America holding the freaking Infinity Gauntlet, and then all the game effects go into play, and I merge them. Now I have a character with +2 stats in the Infinity Gauntlet, plus gets the bonuses of being the Herald of Galactus, and gets the bonuses of being, with Dormammu. Like, it's stupid because they don't think. They don't think like a power gamer. They don't think like, oh, here's somebody that's just going to peck away at this and break this stuff. Because that's what we do. We're just like, yeah, found it. Just chip away. Let me make this masterpiece of the picture of I call it the picture of your torment. And it has tentacles and has a man crying, and has a face of tears, and it has, a ghoulish beast crawling up his back, and it's just horrible. Okay? Like, it's horrible. So, right there, you can start to see why I'm like, this does not bode well. Now, you might say, Dark Logos, does this mean that we should boycott the game and whatnot? No. Like, I'm not for haste either. See what they offer and then see if you have a counter offer. But I do believe that with all the changes that they're making, I do think eventually we're probably going to get a player loss. I really do. And that's why I think that they're planning for that. And that's why they have this whole sidekicks thing. Because, the sidekicks thing makes up for the players that you're losing. Because if all the players that are left after the exodus of all these rules changes bring in one new person, and out of that, let's just say 25% of the new people brought in actually become customers, you probably replace the majority of the people that you've lost. So you're breaking even, but you're maintaining homeostasis. So that's why, again, when I look at everything, some people might be saying, like, Dark Logos, you're drawing conclusions where there shouldn't be conclusions drawn. But I'm like, if you look at it, it makes sense. They know that they're putting big rules changes coming out. We don't know how many more powers, abilities, other general rules they are changing. Okay? Then on top of that, we don't know if they're going to change the tournament structure rules. Because, we don't have a tournament structure rule book, and Kevin DeFruz is the only one that's made anything close to being one. Okay? And God bless Kevin for doing something. He even admits, like, hey, if there's some problems and you see as an issue, hit me up. Okay, so even then, he's like, this is like 1.0. Like, we can probably do better, but, hey, this is what we got right now. All right, but it's more than what WizKids has, which is absolutely bupkis. So, there you go. So, anyway, overall, I just look at this as the beginning of a new transition. I'm not going to say that we're going to have the grand purge of players, but I am going to be completely honest. I do think that we are going to have some major changes in terms of the populace for the next in the next few months after this completely comes out. And I think what's also going to be interesting is going into, I want to know what the culture is going to be like going into Origins. And the reason why I say that is last year there was not the orange head guy running around taking notes. And that's scary. That's really, really, really scary. And I think the guy's name's Eric, maybe. I don't know. For right now, because it sounds more comical, we're going to call him the orange hair guy. So the orange hair guy, I've mentioned him previously. He was running around taking notes and asking questions about why your team worked the way it worked. And he was a set designer for WizKids. He's the guy. He designed that block. He helped design that block between, I think, like your Slosh War of Light stuff, all the way up to that I know of Avengers. He was probably one of the main guys that were doing it. So the orange hair guy, he's running around. He's asking questions. He's like, yo, man, why does your team work like this? And then people would explain. He would take notes of how many of certain figures he saw, how many figures which figures he didn't see, asking why certain things weren't there that he thought would be around, why the player base navigated to X instead of Y. Okay. They didn't have that last year. Nobody at WizKids was running around with a little notepad and asking players questions about their teams. Nobody. Now, it could be in part because WizKids got super greedy and decided, hey guys, both the qualifiers are going to be sealed. F you for buying product and thinking that you were actually going to compete with said product for a chance to get into the World Championship. So that's my feeling. Okay, so they didn't have a guy running around, taking notes, looking at teams, blah, 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 blah. That is bad. That is really, really bad. Mainly in part because WizKids got greedy. They didn't get to see a bigger cross-section of team design. They didn't have anybody, from what I noticed, there running around looking at teams and stuff during top 32 for Origins for the World Championship. Okay? Now, let's sort of look at all of this in a bigger picture. If you're going to completely change everything, do you care about the status quo now? If you're going to completely change everything, do you care about the status quo now? And the answer is no, you don't. Because it's going to be razed to the ground. like Vikings pillaging an unsuspecting people group. Okay? The next thing that you have to ask yourself is this. All right? If they were still caring about the player base and the development and where we were going and the things that navigated us to certain ideas and thought processes, then wouldn't it still be good to get some sort of player feedback onto why things are getting played out the way they are? Okay? And I think that that's important. So now, what we're dealing with is WizKids moving into a shift position. So anyway, I know some people in the last show said like, "Hey, WizKids never retired ATAs. They're not going to retire ATAs." They are going to retire ATAs. That's going to happen this year. And you're going to say like, Dark Logos, why do you say that? Because they told us at Origins last year that they weren't going to do any more ATAs and that they were going to get rid of ATAs. So, I mean, that's what I'm basing that off of. So, yeah. So, anyway, I just wanted to give that clarification. So it wasn't just like Dark Logos making stuff up out of thin air. So, anyway, that's today's show. I'd like to thank you all for listening to today's episode. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me that the white celestial train in between Kuplork 9 and the inhabitants of Urbadon Duke love to have cool parties wearing conductor hats, even though they are the ones that are the passengers on the train. You can, like I said, follow my random musings on Twitter. You can find out when a new show is up. You also can see if I'm texting the DJ, which I haven't done in a while. Hit the DJ up on the Twitter. I need to do that next time just so you can see what I'm requesting. Probably more Romeo Santos. And if I need to do like a Dark Logos Latin music playlist of what he listens to and enjoys, and then you're gonna be looking at the music videos like, so what's up with this video, Dark Logos? It's like, no, it's not the video, it's the song. The song's cool. The video's a little weird. Oh gosh, yeah. Get some Enrique Iglesias, some Mark Anthony, Grupo Extra, and a couple others. It's some good stuff. Getting more into the reggaeton just so I can get some dances. That's my excuse. I'm getting into reggaeton for the dances. Anyway, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com, startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Let me know what you think of the Deadpool set. I know so far some people are like, they love it, and I'm not a fan of it, and that's purely fine if you love it. I just don't like the direction that things are going with it. And even more with reading everything, I don't think the set was built with the vision of what's coming. I think part of Turtles was, and that's why we see the Turtles wordings the way it was. But I don't think they fully understood what they were doing when they were making Turtles, and they were trying to make Turtles future-proof, and they didn't completely do that. So they gave us a good amount of hints on how things were going to work with Turtles versus Deadpool, which I'm just like, what's up, dog? What's going on, really? Do we need to get you, back on your meds? That's how I feel. Then you can donate to the show by going to the blog. That's startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. You can go there and donate to the show. Everything goes to making the show better. And last but not least, if you want to get a Phoenix Nest shirt, and I keep forgetting to go to that T-shirt shop. You can get a Phoenix Nest T-shirt or a Starting Over Podcast T-shirt on the link below. All right, that's it for today's show. I'd like to thank you all for listening, and remember, We all have to start over sometime.